When I was a kid, my dad gave me a knife and some peanut butter and said, go stand out in the woods and stand very still. And sure enough, I don't know how long it took, but eventually a bunch of chickadees arrived. They looked me over, they tweeted about me, and then they landed on the knife and they ate the peanut butter. Coolest damn thing. Today it's all about birds. We're going to go see Ruth Stewart. She and a bunch of other people just finished the Christmas bird count. She's going to tell us all about that. She's also going to tell us about the results. And there's one result in there that I found pretty disturbing.
So the Christmas bird count has been going on for 100 years, 118 years. This was the 118th Christmas bird count. They are established protocol. So there are circles established all over. Originally it was just North America, but now there are Christmas bird counts all across North America and South America. In Vermont, there are 22 16-mile diameter circles that have been established. And it's those circles that are surveyed during the Christmas bird count. Now, our local circle is Winhall. And the center is a little bit north of Gale Meadow. And it was established 51 years ago. So it's been continually surveyed for 51 years.
The circle, and there's a group of you, is it like when we're looking for dead bodies and everyone's in a line and goes marching through the circle?
No,
or how does that work?
Okay, in the Christmas bird count, I have feeder watchers and I have route people that drive routes. So the intent is to cover the entire circle or as much ground as you possibly can. Got it. And our circle happens to be a mountain terrain or habitat, and it's the only one in Vermont that is the mountain habitat. So typically our species numbers will be 27 to 37 species. Very, very low.
Why is it the only mountain since this is such a mountain state?
Because this was so, these circles were established randomly by somebody who came along and said, gee, I'd like to establish a circle where I live. When it first started, there were species that were on the list, like a gray jay or a boreal chickadee, that are strictly now northern species. They can only be found in northern Vermont and up into Canada. So in the 60s, these birds were recorded in the Winhall area, but we haven't seen them in southern Vermont for years.
So instead of adapting, birds just kind of leave.
Well, they are moving with climate change or loss of habitat or change in habitat. The birds that have come in those years are the cardinal, the tufted titmouse.
Is that from down south?
Yes, these are birds that have come in from the south and are now permanent residents here.
Got it.
So in the years that I've been involved, and I'd spend more than 20 years that I've been involved with this count, generally the species that we see are consistent. I mean, one time we saw a great blue heron flying, but it was a warm, open water situation. And so this year was particularly different in a couple of different ways. And that was the large number of Juncos that we saw. The statistics on that, we had a record 527 Juncos, and our old record was 164, and that was in 1995. Now, Juncos are a altitudinal migrant. They are usually high altitude, and they come down to the valleys in the winter. And we are all seeing many Juncos at our feeders this year, high, low, whatever.
So they're coming down from the north and hanging out here in larger numbers than ever before.
Right.
Which
I haven't heard no explanation as to why that is happening, but it was pretty much universal across the state.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
And the other piece that was pretty much universal across the state was the lack of chickadees. Now, on our count, we counted 134 chickadees. The lowest number that we ever had prior to that was in 2014, and that was more a weather phenomena. stormy weather.
The December count was a good day, so there was nothing in the way like a storm.
That's correct.
And we said, where are all the chickadees?
This is correct. And people were saying, where are all the chickadees or where are all the birds all fall? That was not a new phenomena for the Christmas bird count.
Would chickadees tend to go north because they need the cold in the winter?
No. Chickadees are, they're not really migrants. If they migrate, they might go south a little bit. Sort of like blue jays. So why
yes, go ahead.
Why there are fewer chickadees is nobody is speculating. They say their food is abundant. Big deal. Food is abundant every fall, generally speaking. So they're out. They're not coming to the feeders. I mean, most people are observing chickadees at their feeders. So food is abundant, so they don't need to come to the feeders. Well, there's snow on the ground right now, and how many chickadees am I seeing? Very, very few. And so if the chickadee is a barometer of what's happening to the birds, there is something happening because chickadee numbers are way down.
That sounds pretty
drastic. Extremely
right?
drastic. Yeah.
So when does the next bird count occur?
Okay, so there are a whole number of citizen science projects where people are out counting birds. It's Christmas bird count is in December, at the end of the year. The next one will be the Great Backyard Bird Count, which occurs the middle of February. And this year it's February 15th through the 19th. It's this coming weekend, which is...
February could tell us if for some reason in that circle of woods on that day in December, all the birds said, let's get the hell out of the circle because here they come again, right?
Except that the whole protocol is quite different. The Christmas bird count are designated circle areas that have been surveyed for many years. The Great Backyard Bird Count is any place, every place. Your backyard, your park, your national park, any place, and it is throughout the entire United States. Well, I should say it began in 1997, the Great Backyard Bird Count. It began in 1997. It was just the United States and Canada, and it was anybody who had records to submit. They would observe, do the observations at their feeder, submit their records.
So then this is the next big chance in southern Vermont to find out, was that chickadee vanishing act a fluke?
This will be another measure of where the populations, how populations
And if
stand.
we see these awful results, then it would stand to reason they are gone. Something's happened.
Well, that's right, yeah.
And I won't have you those numbers. Getting numbers for the backyard bird count on the chickadee population turns out to be a little problematic at this point. So we're going to have to wait and see. And in fact, we may not know has something happened to the chickadees until we do the Christmas bird count again next year and can once again compare apples to apples. It does remind me a little bit when I started seeing bats dead in my barn. And not thinking too much of it, of course, that was the beginning of a huge bat die-off in southern Vermont. So it makes you wonder, are chickadees about to be faced with something similar? We won't know. We're going to have to wait and see. This is Haas, GNAT News. I'll see you again soon.